You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken Tech for your ears.
If you feel like your entire desktop, your workflow, and frankly, the foundation of global industrial power has shifted dramatically in just the last 6 months, well, you're not wrong.
Not at all. It's the new reality.
It's Tech Tuesday, and the sheer volume of consequential bets being placed right now is just staggering.
It really is.
We've been going through all the material you sent over, and what emerges isn't some simple evolution. It's more like a full-scale, three-front war for technological dominance.
That's a good way to put it.
So today we're going to connect the dots between this massive financial and geopolitical arms race for computing power.
Right.
The fundamental software shift from, static language models to these autonomous, self-correcting agents.
Which is a huge leap.
And finally, the genuinely futuristic hardware being developed to help us talk to these new intelligences. The mission today is to take these three areas and show you the bigger picture, to give you the insight you need to know not just what happened, but where this is all headed.
And what's immediately clear is that we are so far past the phase of small experiments. We are talking about capital expenditures measured in the tens of billions and strategic partnerships that are completely redefining who's in charge of the supply chain.
Yeah.
Understanding the speed of these shifts, for instance, how a legacy company like Apple is forced to partner with a key competitor, is just absolutely essential to grasping the trajectory of AI's immediate future.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting where all power begins. Compute. We're witnessing an infrastructure arms race of, well, unbelievable scale.
It is unbelievable.
And Meta seems to be leading the charge with this staggering ambition. They've launched their Meta Compute initiative.
Right, and this isn't just about buying more chips. It's far, far beyond that.
How far beyond?
The scope of their plan involves building tens of gigawatts of power this decade.
Tens of gigawatts. To put that in perspective, a major power plant is often less than one.
Exactly. Meta's goal isn't just to run today's AI. It's to develop what they're calling superhuman Untel agency.
Untel agency. That sounds ominous.
It's their term for future AI systems capable of complex, long-term planning and execution that transcends human capabilities, and often in ways that are opaque to us.
So this is about building the infrastructure not just for the AI of today, but for a potentially, godlike intelligence tomorrow.
That's the ambition. And it explains the global infrastructure push.
It's not just a technical problem at that scale?
Not at all. To navigate the sheer complexity of deploying this kind of power, which involves securing land, dealing with local energy grids, getting government sign-off, they've brought in a political heavy hitter.
Dina Powell-McCormick.
Right. She was named president and vice chair specifically to develop these partnerships with governments around the world. It's a political maneuvering problem as much as it is a tech problem.
And that kind of desperation for compute power creates some unexpected tension and strange partnerships.
Oh, very well.
Speaking of which, let's talk about Apple and Google. Apple has entered a multi-year partnership to use Google's Gemini model to power its new AI features in Siri.
A classic defensive strategy. It just speaks volumes about the immediate silicon crisis. Apple needed a robust model now, and they're willing to pay for it.
But they're not just handing over the keys, are they?
No. While the full contract isn't public, we know Apple negotiated for crucial control. They can fine-tune Gemini to ensure its responses align with the Apple ethos. And critically, there will be zero Google branding anywhere on Siri.
That's a classic Apple move. Always control the user experience. But what about the cost? The initial reports I saw were saying around $1 billion a year.
Those numbers have been revised upward significantly. Recent updates suggest the total value of the deal could top $5 billion.
$5 billion. Wow.
And yes, you should read that as paying $5 billion simply to buy time.
It's a stopgap.
A very expensive stopgap.
Yeah.
While Apple races to develop its own in-house AI server chips, which, by the way, aren't expected to enter mass production until the second half of 2026.
So even the world's most cash-rich company can't manufacture chips fast enough.
That's how demanding the arms race is.
$5 billion to delay the inevitable. But here's the fascinating twist that really shows the true tectonic shift in the industry hierarchy. For decades, Apple was the kingmaker for hardware suppliers.
Unquestioned. If Apple called, you listened.
Now the tables have turned at TSMC, the world's most important chip foundry.
Precisely. Apple, who was once guaranteed the prime spot and the best pricing, is now fighting for production capacity. They're reportedly facing the largest price increase in years.
And their designs are no longer the top priority.
No.
And that displacement has a name, doesn't it? It's Nvidia.
It is. Nvidia is now likely TSMC's single largest client, having permanently displaced Apple from that dominant position. This changes the fundamental rules of industrial power.
It's a monumental reversal.
It is. We're seeing a software architecture company dictating terms to the giants of consumer hardware. The company that writes the software for intelligence has become more economically crucial than the company that builds the devices you hold in your hand.
That fact alone tells you everything you need to know about where value is consolidating.
Okay, let's pivot from the physical infrastructure, the chips and the gigawatts, to the intelligence running on it, the agent revolution.
Right. The huge compute power we just discussed is only necessary because the tasks we're asking AI to do are becoming exponentially more complex.
This is the necessary software evolution, then.
Exactly. We are moving beyond large language models that just answer questions to autonomous agents that perform complex, multi-step tasks with minimal human intervention. They don't just write code, they manage entire projects.
And we're seeing two distinct tracks emerge, right? Specialized agents for coding and then more general agents for the rest of us.
Yep, Anthropic is showcasing the generalist path with Claude Cowork.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, it's currently a research preview for Mac subscribers on their macOS app, and the design is explicitly aimed at being less intimidating than their developer-focused Claude Code application.
So bringing that power to a wider audience. It's about bringing powerful coding and problem-solving capabilities like drafting complex emails or analyzing reports to non-developers. It democratizes the capability.
And at the same time, the specialized agents are becoming frighteningly sophisticated. Let's talk about the coding agent called Inspect. I'm hearing it truly closes the loop.
Inspect is remarkable because it acts like a fully responsible engineer. It doesn't just spit out a block of code and stop.
It verifies its own work.
Completely. It runs the entire session in a sandboxed VM, basically a secure virtual computer. And within that environment, it runs tests, it reviews performance data, the one engineers call telemetry, it queries feature flags, and it provides visual confirmation with screenshots or live previews. It makes sure the code works exactly as requested before it hands it over.
That self-verification is the key. You can actually trust the output.
Right, and that level of autonomy is forcing developers to realize that their current coding environments are becoming brittle. They break easily when an autonomous agent is working in them.
Which leads to this idea of agent-native architectures.
That's the core realization. Claude Code demonstrated that when LLMs have access to tools like the ability to execute code or manipulate files, they can operate in a loop to achieve these long-term goals. But here's the counterintuitive part.
Go on.
For long-running tasks, while using the best models like a GPT 5.2 is helpful, the quality of the prompts matters more than the specific model or the underlying tech.
So we're back to fundamentals. Garbage in, garbage out, even for AGI precursors.
Exactly. The key to a successful agent is often just removing complexity. The guidelines for writing these specs are becoming pretty standard. Be crystal clear. Stay within a practical context window so the agent doesn't forget its goals.
And break it down.
You have to break massive objectives into smaller chunks. The current best practice is to have the agent spend time planning in a read-only mode first before it's allowed to execute anything.
I love that. Think before you act, but for a machine. And to manage all the different models, there's a push for standardization, right?
That's where Open Responses comes in. It's an open source spec for building multi-provider, interoperable LLM interfaces.
In simple terms.
It means you don't have to rewrite your entire system every time you switch from Claude to Gemini. It lets these agentic systems function across different models seamlessly.
That's a necessary step to get out of the Wild West phase. Okay, let's move to the physical frontier. The hardware that connects us to these agents. We're moving beyond the keyboard and the touch screen.
The next massive frontier is ambient interaction. If agents can execute complex tasks, the interface to instruct them needs to be frictionless.
And it seems nobody is ignoring the ears. OpenAI's hardware ambitions with Sam Altman and Jony Ive are going right after the AirPods market.
Audio first.
It seems like the industry is finally realizing we need to focus on the human voice as the primary input. You might even say this is the era of the vocal technologist.
It's a compelling name for the shift. The device itself is codenamed Sweet Pea, an audio earpiece projected for release around September. It's a tactical move to get an always-on AI presence in the consumer's life.
But the earpiece is just the start. OpenAI is making a much bigger, longer-term bet by investing in Altman's brain-computer interface company, Merge Labs. That's a serious leap into futurism.
It is. Merge Labs intends to move past traditional intrusive electrode implants. They're aiming to connect with neurons using molecules and deep-reaching modalities like ultrasound.
So no drilling.
That seems to be the goal.
Yeah.
OpenAI sees BCIs as the ultimate, natural, human-centered way to interact with advanced AI. They believe the most powerful agent needs the most direct pathway possible, the human brain itself.
Fusing biological and artificial intelligence, that puts the hardware race into a really startling context. Meanwhile, back on the ground, we're also seeing AI integrate rapidly into robotics.
Take 1X Robotics. They've integrated their 1XWM World model into their NEO robot platform.
And that's a generative video model.
Yeah, 14 billion parameters.
Yeah.
So instead of needing tens of thousands of hours of robot demonstrations, which is slow and expensive, the model predicts its own actions by generating text-conditioned video rollouts.
So the robot watches itself perform a task in a simulated video before it even moves.
Exactly. It's virtual trial and error at superhuman speed. Dramatically faster adaptation.
And in medicine, we see another colossal investment. Nvidia and Eli Lilly. $1 billion over 5 years for a new lab in Silicon Valley.
A classic move to co-locate expertise. Bring Lilly's deep pharmaceutical knowledge right next to cutting-edge AI innovation. But the key piece for the broader industry is that Nvidia plans to open source its suite of AI models tailored for healthcare.
Democratizing the tools for drug discovery.
That's the idea.
Okay, so we're talking about tens of billions for compute, agents that manage entire projects, hardware moving from the ear to the brain. Of course, there's skepticism. We know Michael Burry, famous for calling the subprime mortgage crisis, is reportedly skeptical. He sees a bubble.
And that skepticism is warranted when you use traditional investment metrics. But we also need to consider the human element. We might be seeing a countervailing economic force emerge. The AI-powered Veblen economy.
Explain that for us.
Humans are intensely competitive. We're incredible at manufacturing scarcity for status gains. As AI accelerates productivity, it will actually increase the demand for human-sourced artisan goods and services.
Things that can't be automated.
Things that gain value precisely because they can't be. A hand-painted piece of art, a genuinely human-written memoir, these things gain exponential value when AI can flood the market with high-quality fakes. Status through authentication.
So employment might hold on in these human-centric areas, creating a kind of counter-economy. That makes sense. It's a reminder that while AI lowers the barrier to entry for creative work, like YouTube did for video, it simultaneously elevates the value of the genuinely human creation.
And speaking of colossal human ambition, we have to mention SpaceX. Amidst all this, they've announced plans to attempt an uncrewed mission to Mars by late 2026.
That is an audacious timeline.
It relies on a rare planetary alignment and the successful debut of Starship version 3 this year. It's just a reminder that all this compute power, all this innovation, is ultimately focused on enabling humanity's greatest physical bets.
So let's pull this all together. We've covered this consolidation around massive compute power, the software shift toward autonomous, self-verifying agents, and hardware bets focusing on voice and even biological interfaces. It is all moving incredibly fast.
And the most profound implication goes back to those agents. We are mastering the specs for agents that can verify their own work, and the rate of progress is exponential. It's reliably estimated that by 2028, autonomous agents will be able to complete tasks comparable to human experts.
Not just coders.
Not just coders.
Yeah.
Analysts, consultants, you name it. The rise of the hireable agent is imminent.
That shifts everything.
It does. I mean, think about it. If the power and security of the masses today are tied to their labor contribution and their ability to organize, how will the accelerating competence of fully autonomous AI agents change that power balance between humans and the elite during the coming cyborg era?
A difficult question.
If non-elite labor can be automated completely, what new social contract has to emerge to maintain stability and, equitable distribution of all that AI-generated wealth? That is the real challenge being built into the infrastructure right now.
A deeply compelling question to consider as you contemplate your own next task delegation. Thank you for joining us for this analysis, and as always, keep questioning what you learn.
Spoken Tech, for your ears.